Ever wake up to a shipping confirmation and think, wait, I ordered what? You're not alone. Somewhere in America, someone's buying a flamethrower-shaped lighter or a glow-in-the-dark toilet brush because it felt right at 2 a.m. And by sunrise, regret hits harder than the delivery notification. Here are 101 of the weirdest, wildest, and most wonderfully terrible things Americans bought late at night, when common sense took the night off. Let's begin. 1. One man ordered a 12-foot inflatable unicorn at 3 a.m. after watching a fantasy film marathon. By morning, the unicorn had completely blocked his garage door. The real kicker? He doesn't even own a pump, so it took 2 hours of manual lung power to get it halfway full before giving up. 2. A nurse in Texas, after a long night shift and 2 glasses of wine, bought a full beekeeping starter kit, despite having a lifelong fear of bees. The unopened boxes are still in her closet, next to the unopened book titled, "Bee Friends Are the Best Friends." 3. Someone once impulse bought a personal polygraph test, convinced they could finally settle trust issues with their roommate. They quickly returned it when the first test asked if they'd stolen the last slice of pizza, and it beeped twice. 4. A late-night purchase of 40 pounds of gummy bears seemed like harmless fun, until the buyer realized their entire pantry had turned into a sugar fortress. Even their dog started ignoring treats, overwhelmed by the smell of synthetic fruit. 5. A guy ordered a full clown costume and makeup kit, supposedly for a Halloween that was 10 months away. The next morning, he woke up to the delivery confirmation and no memory of the order. He's now the proud owner of a nightmare he refuses to open. 6. One woman bought a voice-controlled smart toilet that plays music and glows. The surprise? It arrived speaking only Japanese. After 2 weeks of Google Translate and random button pressing, it started playing jazz during every flush and refuses to stop. 7. A man from Florida bought what he thought was a discounted telescope. When it arrived, it turned out to be a military-grade night vision scope, completely illegal for civilian use. The FBI didn't knock, but a friendly call came through asking about the purchase. 8. Someone decided to invest in a vending machine for their home after binge-watching business TikToks. It arrived fully stocked, with off-brand gum from 2014. Turns out, the seller's idea of a good deal was expired nostalgia. 9. A person once bought a replica of Thor's hammer made entirely from concrete. They didn't regret the $90 price tag, but deeply regretted dropping it on their hardwood floor. Now they own a hammer and a hole in the living room. 10. A guy ordered a custom neon sign that said, "Do not trust the moon." No one knows why, not even him. He woke up to the invoice and vague memories of a YouTube rabbit hole about lunar conspiracies. The sign now lives in his bathroom, glowing ominously at 2 a.m. 11. One man, unable to sleep, found himself deep in a survivalist blog and bought 500 freeze-dried meals at 2 a.m. He doesn't camp. He lives in a studio apartment in Brooklyn. Now, his closet is stacked floor-to-ceiling with vacuum-sealed beef stroganoff, and he hasn't seen his winter coat in months. 12. One guy thought it would be hilarious to buy a fog machine for his morning Zoom calls. His plan? Enter every meeting like a rock star. The execution? He accidentally triggered the smoke alarm during a quarterly review, earning himself a mandatory HR session titled Professionalism in the Workplace. 13. A teacher in Minnesota drunkenly bought 200 tiny cowboy hats for her houseplants. By the time they arrived, she'd forgotten all about them. She spent her Saturday crowning her succulents and explaining to her confused neighbors that it was for morale. 14. A man ordered a medieval chastity belt as a joke gift for his bachelor party. The surprise came when it arrived locked, with no key and no clear way to remove it. After 2 calls to the seller and a very awkward visit to a locksmith, he decided maybe some jokes are best left in the cart. 15. A woman during a late-night nostalgia spiral purchased a life-size animatronic Chuck E. Cheese figure off an auction site. She thought it would be quirky decor. But once it arrived and started moving its plastic mouth at 3 a.m., she had to store it under a tarp in the basement, locked in a closet she now calls the cursed room. 16. A guy ordered a replica of the Declaration of Independence printed on edible paper. He had grand plans to eat history on the 4th of July. But when it arrived in February, he couldn't resist. Turns out powdered ink and artificial parchment taste exactly how you'd expect, like licking a textbook. 17. A woman bought a mini cotton candy machine thinking it would be a fun Saturday project. By Monday, her kitchen looked like a sugar-coated battlefield, and the machine had mysteriously fused with the countertop. Turns out, cleaning melted sugar is not so fun. 18. One guy ordered a sleep hypnosis audio that promised lucid dreams and inner peace. What he got instead was a British voice whispering, "Release your toes," every 5 minutes for 2 hours. His roommate moved out after hearing it through the wall 3 nights in a row. 19. A man in Illinois impulse bought a foghorn for emergency motivation. He wanted to start his mornings with a dramatic blast. On day 1, he used it at 6:30 a.m. The entire apartment complex held a meeting about the unholy noise later that evening. 20. Someone once purchased a secondhand wedding dress online with the caption, "Slightly cursed, still elegant." The ad was half joke, but the buyer swears their lights started flickering after the dress arrived. It now hangs in the garage, inside a salt circle. 21. A late-night binge led one buyer to purchase a $300 home brewing kit, despite never having drunk a full beer in their life. After one failed batch that exploded in the pantry, they renamed the room Alegeddon and turned the kit into a planter. 22. A guy bought an entire roll of custom motivational stickers for his mirror. They were supposed to say things like, "You got this," or "Keep going," but due to a typo, every sticker reads, "Keep dong," in bold Comic Sans. Inspiring? Maybe. Confusing? Absolutely. 23. One woman ordered a tiny portable sauna that looked like a collapsible tent. The next morning, she realized it had no ventilation system and reached temperatures somewhere between awkward sweat and actual danger. It now serves as a cozy spot for her dog. 24. Someone bought a pet psychic session online for their goldfish. The reading was done via email, where the psychic claimed the fish misses the old pebbles and dreams of a bigger castle. The buyer realized the real scam wasn't the reading. It was that they kind of believed it. 25. A man ordered a personalized license plate that read, "In Ragrits," after watching a comedy movie. He thought it was ironic. The DMV didn't get the joke. Now he drives a minivan that says, "No regrets," forever branded by a typo he actually approved. 26. A man in Utah impulsively ordered a full bagpipe set after watching a war movie at midnight. He practiced for 2 days before his neighbors staged an intervention. The only thing he managed to master was waking up the entire block at sunrise every time he breathed wrong near the bag. 27. A woman bought a $70 online course titled "Become a Professional Fortune Teller in 7 Days." It included printable tarot cards, a wand made of glitter glue, and a PDF that said, "Just trust your vibe." She lasted 2 days before realizing her psychic energy was mostly caffeine and wishful thinking. 28. A guy ordered 200 personalized pencils that all said, "I am inevitable." He later admitted he had no idea why, just that he was in a Thanos mood. Now, every time he takes notes, he's forced to confront the philosophical weight of a Marvel villain monologue. 29. A California couple, after some wine and a documentary binge, bought a haunted Victorian mirror from an estate sale website. They thought it would be a quirky conversation piece. But after 2 weeks of unexplained reflections and cold spots, they listed it for resale, marked, "Gently cursed, needs loving home." 30. One man bought a set of 20 medieval goblets to feel more regal during hydration. Now he drinks Gatorade out of a 5-pound pewter chalice. He says it adds drama, but he's also chipped 3 molars and banned it from game night. 31. A woman purchased a llama-shaped hammock stand at 1 a.m. because it made her smile. The regret came when she realized it was 10 feet wide, weighed 200 pounds, and didn't fit through her door. The llama now lives disassembled on her porch, like a broken dream from the Andes. 32. A guy, trying to motivate himself for morning runs, bought a robotic cheetah toy that was supposed to chase him. The problem? It barely rolled 3 feet before spinning in circles. He gave up running and started filming the toy's failure instead. The video got more views than any of his workouts. 33. A woman impulsively bought a giant inflatable dragon that was meant for yard decoration. The regret hit when she realized it stood 12 feet tall and roared every time someone walked by. The HOA gave her 3 warnings before she relocated it to the garage, where it now guards the laundry. 34. A man ordered a personal defense whistle that promised to emit a sound so loud it could stop attackers. It worked. Too well. He tested it indoors and triggered every car alarm on the block, plus a fire drill at the local high school. His ears rang for 3 days. 35. One woman ordered a $50 emotional support potato from Etsy. It came with googly eyes, a tiny hand-knitted scarf, and a certificate of emotional reliability. She laughed, then cried, then left a 5-star review titled, "Better than my ex." 36. A guy bought a voice-activated smart mirror that gives compliments. He thought it would boost his confidence. Instead, every time he walked past it shirtless, it said, brave. He's now turned it to silent mode, but swears it still judges him with pixelated silence. 37. After watching a conspiracy documentary, a man impulse bought a lead-lined blanket that promised to block government brainwaves. He now sleeps under 20 pounds of metallic fabric and wonders why he wakes up with headaches and 0 dreams. 38. A woman ordered a $300 telepathic communicator from a New Age site. It turned out to be a pair of metallic headbands with wires and crystals. Her cat refused to wear it. Her boyfriend moved out. The device now sits on a shelf labeled "For future conversations with plants." 39. One guy bought a bulk crate of fortune cookies after a bad breakup, hoping for clarity. The twist? Every single fortune was blank. He called it a message from the void. His roommate called it a carbohydrate crisis. 40. A man from Nevada, deep into a late-night rabbit hole, ordered a professional-grade ghost hunting kit. It included a blinking EMF reader, a spirit box, and what looked like a glorified flashlight. After one night in his attic and a raccoon sighting, he returned the whole thing, except the flashlight. That part was actually useful. 41. One man ordered a karaoke toilet seat at 2:17 a.m. It lit up, played music, and encouraged expressive moments. The horror set in when it randomly activated in the middle of the night, whisper singing, living on a prayer, while the guy tried to sleep in the next room. 42. A woman bought a collapsible adult-sized tricycle in pastel pink. The site claimed it was ideal for beach rides and silent reflection. She lives in downtown Detroit and hasn't been to a beach in 10 years. The trike now folds quietly in her hallway, watching her pass like a pastel ghost of good intentions. 43. Someone bought a full set of magician props, including a folding wand, disappearing silk scarves, and a dove pocket. He doesn't know any tricks. He just thought it might change his vibe. Now he uses the top hat to store loose change and self-doubt. 44. A guy impulsively ordered 30 pounds of glow-in-the-dark sand to make his backyard magical. The problem? He doesn't have a backyard. The sand now lives in a kiddie pool on his apartment balcony, glowing faintly and attracting every raccoon in a 5-mile radius. 45. One woman bought a subscription box for mystery crystals charged by moonlight. The first box contained 5 rocks, a vague note that read, "Trust your energy," and glitter. The only thing it charged was her credit card for 6 months straight before she remembered to cancel. 46. A man spent $240 on a medieval-style writing set that included a feather quill, ink pot, and parchment scrolls. He wrote exactly 1 letter to himself, spilled ink on his carpet, and realized he preferred texting after all. The feather now gathers dust behind his monitor like a decorative monument to regret. 47. One woman bought a set of pet yoga mats for her 2 cats. She imagined a peaceful bonding experience. The cats used them once to puke. She now refers to them as the vomit rugs and wonders why she believed the marketing that called it meow must. 48. A man deep into a late-night self-improvement binge ordered 12 self-help books titled things like Harness the Wolf and Wake Up a Warrior. He read 3 pages total before turning them into a makeshift laptop stand. The wolf remains unharnessed. 49. Someone bought a portable fog chiller to create a mystical ambiance in their living room. The device worked too well. Their smoke detector thought it was a fire, and their guests thought it was a seance. The vibe? Less mystical, more mildly terrifying. 50. A woman purchased a full-size replica of the monolith from 2001, A Space Odyssey. It arrived in 4 crates and took up half her living room. Now it just stands there, silently judging everyone's Netflix choices. She says it's too weird to return, too heavy to move. 51. One guy bought 50 pounds of protein powder labeled Extreme Moose Strength. He doesn't lift weights, he just liked the branding. After one shake that tasted like expired chalk, he gave the rest to his neighbor, who used it to patch a hole in drywall. 52. A man ordered a glowing pyramid meant to balance the frequencies in your home. Instead, it buzzed faintly and attracted every fly in the neighborhood. He ended up tossing it in the freezer to neutralize the chaos. The buzzing didn't stop. Neither did the regret. 53. Someone bought a 6-pack of inflatable furniture during a 2 a.m. nostalgia trip. They envisioned a cool retro lounge. Reality, they popped 2 chairs in under a week and now sit on what's basically a bouncy castle for adults with commitment issues. 54. A woman ordered a smart water bottle that lectures you if you don't drink enough. It blinked red, vibrated, and loudly announced, "Hydrate or deteriorate," in the middle of a silent yoga class. She now uses it as a paperweight with unresolved trauma. 55. One man bought a personal air purifier that straps to your head like a halo. He claimed it would make him untouchable in crowds. It made him look like a cyborg tennis player. He wore it once to Target, overheard a kid whisper, "Is he okay?" and never wore it again. 56. A woman bought a motivational alarm clock that screamed affirmations at full volume. The first morning, it yelled, "You are powerful," so loudly it knocked a picture off the wall and scared her dog into the bathtub. Now it lives unplugged in a drawer, still judging in silence. 57. One guy, deep in a cooking phase, bought a commercial-grade hot dog roller to upgrade his snacking experience. After burning 6 dogs and cleaning grease out of his toaster for a week, he realized why convenience stores have trained staff. 58. A man ordered a bulk package of scented candles labeled Midnight Forest. When they arrived, the scent was more wet raccoon in a pine box. His apartment smelled like disappointment and regret for days. He now uses them as doorstops. 59. Someone bought a VR headset specifically to explore virtual meditation gardens. Instead, they got motion sickness, crashed into their coffee table, and broke a lamp. Peace was not achieved. Enlightenment remains postponed indefinitely. 60. A woman impulse bought a ukulele starter set with dreams of serenading friends. She watched half a YouTube tutorial, broke a string, and gave up. Now the ukulele sits in the corner like a tiny judgmental guitar of failure. 61. A man bought a 6-foot-tall cardboard cutout of himself to surprise guests. Instead, he scared his own reflection at least 10 times. It once tipped over during a thunderstorm and shattered a lamp. He now refers to it as his cardboard curse. 62. Someone bought a home lie detector kit after watching 3 hours of true crime documentaries. They used it once on their roommate during a debate about missing snacks. The machine beeped, the roommate moved out, and the truth remains a crunchy mystery. 63. A woman bought a deluxe mushroom growing kit that promised gourmet fungi in just 7 days. Nothing sprouted. But she did grow an impressive amount of mold that resembled a tiny haunted forest. She now calls it her science experiment gone sentient. 64. One guy spent $99 on a device that promised to translate dog barks into English. The first time he used it, his pug barked once and the machine replied, "I'm judging you." He returned it immediately but swears the dog still looks smug. 65. A man bought a gallon of liquid motivation from a nootropic site that claimed to boost brain function. It tasted like melted batteries and did absolutely nothing, unless you count regretting your decisions as heightened awareness. 66. Someone bought a solar-powered garden gnome that was supposed to glow at night. It arrived with one eye missing and a flickering light that made it look like it was blinking. Neighbors thought it was haunted. They weren't wrong. 67. A woman bought a romantic indoor fire pit for her studio apartment. It emitted so much smoke that her carbon monoxide detector screamed for 15 minutes. The date ended early, so did her lease. The pit now lives in storage, buried in shame. 68. One man ordered a novelty blanket shaped like a giant burrito. He wrapped himself in it, posted a photo, and went viral for looking like a confused bean. Internet fame faded, but the regret of being known as Burrito Man lingers forever. 69. A guy bought a waterproof notepad for shower inspiration. Instead of writing songs or startup ideas, he filled it with scribbles that looked like cave drawings. His only legible note? Don't forget cheese. A masterpiece of mediocrity. 70. Someone bought a smart salt shaker that connects to Wi-Fi and tracks sodium intake. The app glitched and sent alerts every time they opened the fridge. After 3 nights of constant buzzing, they buried it in the backyard. No word yet if it reconnected from underground. 71. A man bought a psychological test kit for self-reflection. After scoring emotionally volatile on test 1, he argued with the results for 20 minutes, Googled, "Am I normal?" then ate ice cream straight from the tub at 3 a.m. 72. One woman purchased a $60 playlist called Space Energy Reboot. It promised to charge her aura with cosmic frequencies. Instead, it whispered, "Let the void take you," over static. She now sticks to rain sounds and candles. 73. A guy ordered a dream interpretation journal and tried to analyze his first entry, falling into ravioli. The book claimed ravioli represented unresolved ambition. He hasn't written in it since, but now avoids pasta before bed. 74. Someone bought a used popcorn machine from a theater auction. The listing didn't mention it was 6 feet tall and louder than a lawnmower. It now lives in the garage, humming faintly like a haunted snack ghost. 75. A woman ordered a productivity beacon that blinked red when she stopped typing. It started flashing during lunch and even while she blinked. She now works in near darkness, haunted by judgmental LED lights. 76. A man bought intelligent socks that promised to detect foot mood and energy. They short-circuited during first use and beeped randomly for days. He now wears them only as a joke during game night. 77. One guy purchased a foam dart anti-stress cannon for indoor use. The first round hit a vase, the second broke a lamp, and the third was intercepted by his cat mid-air. The cat is now addicted to chaos. So is he. 78. A man bought a self-reflection mirror with emotional feedback. It winked every time he walked by and played soft jazz. By day 3, he covered it with a towel. He didn't need that kind of intimacy from furniture. 79. A woman ordered healing animal sounds for relaxation: whale calls, husky snores, and possum screams. She played it once during dinner. Her appetite and her guests vanished instantly. She calls it the diet playlist now. 80. One guy tried digital detox with a phone jail timer. He accidentally locked it for 72 hours. He wrote a letter to his sister, mailed it, then realized he forgot her address. Detox complete. Sanity questionable. 81. Someone bought a therapeutic hoodie that vibrated when you're stressed. Turns out it vibrated constantly, especially while watching the news. She now wears it only to scare pigeons at the park. 82. A guy bought a smart pen that claimed it could record your thoughts. All it did was transcribe everything he muttered. First entry, "Where's my burrito?" Second entry, "Oh God, it's working." He hasn't touched it since. 83. A woman purchased a futuristic pillow that massages your brainwaves. In reality, it buzzed like a confused blender and kept announcing, Relaxation mode. By morning, she had a sore neck and trust issues. 84. One man ordered a laser mood light to simulate northern lights. It looked peaceful in ads. In reality, it spun like a disco ball while blasting techno. He didn't find inner peace, but he did invent rave meditation. 85. A guy bought energy balancing magnets for the fridge. They promised happier leftovers and spiritual snacks. A week later, his lasagna was still grumpy and his eggs somehow disappeared. He suspects the magnets. 86. A woman bought a medieval-style candle chandelier to create romantic vibes. She forgot her ceiling was barely 8 feet high and singed her hair trying to light it. Now she eats dinner under a desk lamp and calls it minimalist mood lighting. 87. One guy impulse bought a Bluetooth smart spoon that tracks bite rhythm. It buzzed angrily every time he ate too fast and even suggested chewing therapy. By day 2, he was arguing with his utensil and craving smoothies out of spite. 88. A man ordered a full drum circle set to feel more grounded spiritually. He lives in a one-bedroom apartment and tried his first session at midnight. His upstairs neighbor texted, "If this is a summoning, I'm not interested." 89. A woman purchased a private sleep pod that enclosed her bed in zippered fabric. She imagined peace and privacy, but woke up in a puddle of her own sweat, gasping like a butterfly trapped in a tent. The pod now holds dirty laundry and failed dreams. 90. Someone bought a futuristic toothbrush that gives feedback through voice prompts. It screamed, "Brush harder," and played motivational rock music at 6 a.m. His teeth are cleaner, sure, but he now flinches every time he hears Bon Jovi. 91. A man bought an ergonomic chair shaped like a saddle because a podcast told him cowboy posture increases productivity. After 3 hours of sliding off and yelling yeehaw in frustration, he accepted that chairs shouldn't need stirrups. 92. One woman bought a projector that turns your ceiling into a galaxy. It worked beautifully until it synced with her phone and started showing calendar reminders. She fell asleep under a glowing "dentist tomorrow at 9 a.m. 93. A guy purchased a cryotherapy facial wand to reverse time. He didn't read the instructions and left it on his forehead too long. He now walks around with a perfectly smooth but slightly frostbitten rectangle above his eyebrows. 94. Someone bought an AI sleep coach that listens and gives advice in the morning. It once said, "You sound tense. Try fewer snacks and less existential dread." She threw it in a drawer and hasn't slept in peace since. 95. A man ordered a voice-activated espresso machine for luxury mornings. It misunderstood every command and once responded to "make coffee with boiling water and no cup." His kitchen floor still smells like regret and burnt beans. 96. A woman bought a deluxe foot spa that included aromatherapy steam. It malfunctioned after 15 minutes and sprayed peppermint oil across her rug. Her apartment now smells like Christmas and broken promises. 97. One guy impulse bought a DIY bonsai tree kit at 2:47 a.m. He was promised inner calm in miniature. 2 weeks later, all he has is a dried twig, spilled soil, and a complex about why nature refuses to cooperate with him. 98. Someone bought a wireless mood ring that texts your emotional state. It synced with their phone and sent their ex the message, "I'm feeling vulnerable." They now describe the experience as accidental emotional terrorism. 99. A man purchased a suit made entirely of silver for futuristic fashion. It arrived in crinkled foil and made loud crumpling noises with every step. He wore it once to a party and got mistaken for leftovers. 100. A woman bought a voice-controlled wine dispenser that promised no hands elegance. It poured half a bottle after hearing the word "fine" during a phone call. She now drinks from the bottle like a peasant, just to stay safe. 101. One guy, deep into a nostalgic YouTube rabbit hole, bought a full-size Chuck E. Cheese animatronic band for $600. He imagined hosting epic parties or creating a retro arcade vibe. But the first night it powered on by itself, played half a song in static screeches, and left him hiding under the covers whispering, "I've made a terrible mistake." So there you have it. 101 things Americans bought late at night and absolutely regretted by sunrise. Some were weird, others were wild, and a few downright cursed. If you've ever woken up to a shipping confirmation and thought, "What have I done?" You're definitely not alone. Now tell me, what's the strangest thing you ever ordered after midnight? Let's compare regrets in the comments.